It's 1 o'clock in Central Europe. The news is next on AFN.
Good afternoon from UPI and the AAP, national and international developments. Iranian officials say they'll permit American television to broadcast 90 minutes of film later today, which reportedly shows 45 of the hostages who have Christmas messages for their families. A Vatican envoy who saw the Americans yesterday described them as being in good health and spirits.
It's unclear how many of the captives were seen this time round. Contacted by phone from London, the secretary for the papal nuncio said the Pope's representative and one of the Iranian clergymen saw between 25 and 30 hostages in groups of 6 or 7. Among them were the 2 women captives. Meanwhile, the 3 other Iranian clergymen met with a different group of hostages, but it's unclear how many. The papal nuncio says he did not note any difference in the hostages' morale compared to when he last saw them at Easter or at last Christmas. A 30-minute videotape without sound was made of 2 of the meetings. 6 minutes of that tape has been fed to Western networks. It shows 2 separate groups of half a dozen captives being greeted by the nuncio. The hostages look well-fed and in decent spirits. The room they were shown in was decorated for Christmas and included a traditional Christmas tree. Jim Colasar, London.
Also yesterday, Tehran Radio reiterated threats that the hostages would be tried as spies if the U.S. doesn't meet Iran's demand for billions of dollars in cash and gold. U.S. officials haven't formally responded to that demand yet, but they're expected to say no. President-elect Ronald Reagan's chief domestic affairs advisor says poverty has virtually been wiped out in the United States. Martin Anderson says the U.S.'s welfare problem is not how to help the poor get by, it's how to get them off welfare. Writing in a recently published book, Anderson also says welfare recipients should be required to work so that only truly disabled people receive aid. Earlier this week, Japan proudly announced that it's replaced the United States as the world's largest producer of cars and trucks. And it also announced that car sales to the United States have dropped off.
For the second month in a row, auto exports to the United States were running at levels lower than a year ago. In November, Japanese automakers shipped just over 180,000 cars to the United States. That was a drop of 6.9% compared to November 1979. For October 1980, shipments dropped 1% below October 1979, the first time in 17 months that the year-to-year totals had shown a decline. The pace of auto shipments to the United States has been slowing down, partly because automakers are trying to moderate their sales due to the protests of American manufacturers, and also because the Japanese cars are affected by the sales slump that has hit the U.S. automakers so hard. In fact, the Japanese automakers are concerned that sales worldwide are slowing down. In November, all production, both for export and domestic sales, fell below the production figure for November 1979, the first time in almost 2 years that the total had fallen from the same period a year earlier. 1980 has nonetheless been a good year for the industry here, the year in which Japan surpassed the United States in total output to become the world's #1 automaker. Bruce Dunning, CBS News, Tokyo.
American taxpayers will get a delayed and perhaps unwanted Christmas gift from Uncle Sam. Monday, the IRS begins mailing almost 90 million federal tax forms for the 1980 tax year.
I don't mean to spoil your holiday good cheer, but amid all the hoopla and fanfare comes a nagging but important reminder from your friendly federal Grinch. It's tax time again this year, and the IRS will soon begin mailing out the new 1980 forms. If you're one of the lucky ones, you'll be getting your New Year's bundle by January 10th. But take heart, there's some good news as well as bad for this year's taxpayer. First, completing the form should be easy, for there have been no major changes in the 1980 tax code. The bad news is, as always, they must be returned no later than April 15th. This is Pat Hazen.
The Central European weather forecast for the remainder of today and tonight calls for continued mostly cloudy skies with occasional light rain or rain showers with a chance for rain and snow mixed later this evening. Light snow showers can be expected in the higher elevations. High temperatures between 42 and 48, lows around 29 to 35. The outlook for tomorrow calls for little change with slightly cooler temperatures. And that's the news from the major U.S. networks and wire services. Charles Lutz reporting for AFN.